How often do you find yourself saying yes when deep down inside you really want to say no? Today we are diving into the power of saying no, how to learn to do so, and how it can positively impact every aspect of your life. Hi guys, I'm Anna Lehman, a personal performance coach, and in this channel we talk about strategies to build a joyful, high-performing life and achieve personal success. Thank you for visiting my channel and subscribing. So why do we have to work on our boundaries? Let's face it, always saying yes can lead to unhappiness, burnout, and resentment. By not setting boundaries, we end up neglecting our own needs and prioritizing others above ourselves. It's time to break free from this cycle. So how can we develop those boundaries? How can we effectively say no? First and foremost, develop the courage to be disliked. I know it is easier said than done, but it all comes down to that one main thing that you have to develop in order for you to be good with your boundaries, to develop that courage to be disliked. Many people pleasers struggle to say no because they are fearing the rejection. They think that if they stop being nice to people, they will be abandoned. Being so dependent on external approval and praise rather than living life by following your inner values and your inner voice and priorities is a path that leads to unhappiness. The easiest way, of course, to be free from it is to be raised in the environment where your parents and people who you spend most of your time with program your brain to not be dependent from the opinions of others and to not seek that constant acceptance and external validation and approval. When I was growing up, my mom used to say two sayings in Russian that got ingrained in me. The first one was kind of along the lines, you can't stop people's mouths. And another one was, you're not a $100 note to be liked by everyone. And I think it just wired my brain in a very particular way. But if it happened to be that way, that you were raised with the approach, you gotta be nice to people, you might be struggling with boundaries and you need to start rewiring your brain to develop that courage to be disliked and pursue what is really important for you. It might take years, but the benefits of it will be immense. I owe a lot of my happiness to the fact that firstly, I have that courage to be disliked. And secondly, I clearly understand what is important for me and what my non-negotiables are, and I'm protecting those. This protected me from facing burnout, being in abusive relationships, staying away from toxic bosses, and having friends that would make my life worse. So how can you develop that courage? Well, the only way to develop any kind of courage is to face the fear and do that anyway. So you just have to start saying no, as there is no other way to develop this skill. There is a great book, Courage to be Disliked, by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. They argue that unhappy people make their ultimate goal to earn the approval of others. In other words, unhappy people believe that their key to happiness is to be recognized as good by someone else. But what happens in the end is that this goal is simply unattainable because approval is conditional. Others will like you only if you do what they want you to do. This means that whether or not others approve you is outside of your control. True happiness comes from accepting ourselves and being authentic, even if it means that we might disappoint some people along the way. And point number 2, try to understand your values, moral principles, priorities, and protect those. Imagine a life when you can comfortably say no to something that doesn't align to your values or goals. Setting boundaries and learning to say no has the power to transform your life for better. Let me share a personal story to illustrate this point. I had been dating a guy when I was 21 for 3 years. We were in love and had some serious plans. Or so I thought. He was 3 years younger, and one day when I said, "Shall we spend more time together?" he turned to me and said, "Sorry, but you are not currently my priority." His priority was studying, surviving in a new city, which is understandable. I remember it was some kind of a cold shower for me, and I just let him go, let him be. I wanted something a bit more serious back then. I was in a good job, finished my uni, and was ready for a serious relationship. We split. And 6 months later, I was engaged with my future husband, with who I have just celebrated my 15th wedding anniversary. My ex-boyfriend was pretty distressed and shocked when he found out that I met a guy 6 years older than me, fell in love, and our relationship developed so quickly that we pretty much got engaged in a few months. By opting out from that relationship, I pursued what was important for me. My rational thinking was superior to my emotional voice, and I knew that the best thing for me back then was not to cling to that relationship, but rather let both of us go separate ways. Was it painful? Yes. Was it in the hindsight a good decision? Totally. It's all about practicing assertiveness and prioritizing self-care. Remember, it's okay to put yourself first and set limits on what you can accept and what you cannot. In every interaction with another person or in every decision-making process, make a habit to ask yourself 2 questions. How does it make me feel? And what am I sacrificing here? Whether it is with your boss, with your spouse, with your parent, or with your child, remember, you are rewiring your brain. It can't happen overnight, but practice makes perfect. Be prepared for the initial discomfort to be big. It's okay. You are on the right track. Change is uncomfortable, and you're playing a long game here. The benefits will come later. Something to keep in mind is that by having boundaries, you will always be in harmony with yourself, but not always in harmony with the rest of the world. That's okay. The only permanent relationship you have is with yourself. And that is the trade-off you will need to accept. Remember, the whole point of having boundaries is putting yourself first. I can 100% guarantee that a lot of people might not like it, especially if for all of your life you were trying to make everyone else happy but you. The people who are not good for you will fall off, and the people who really care about you will get used to a new version of yourself. Speaking here from the place of my own experience and stories from my clients. It's not selfish to prioritize your well-being. Having boundaries is a precursor to happiness, growth, and personal success. Hence why it is usually one of the main pillars in my coaching programs. By pleasing everyone, you end up pleasing no one. Most important, you will let yourself down. So choose wisely, you or everyone else. I want to hear from you. Share your experiences about setting boundaries in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos on self-improvement and personal success. As always, rooting for your success. With care, Anna.